It is the Matt Mosley Show. We're live. You're looking live at the Mosley Show. And it'll be fun today because the Z-Man, Zach Burke, is in. And he's wrapping some other things up, but he'll be joining me shortly. Good friend of mine, filling in for Kevin today. Kevin is doing some of his college women's tennis. And I think they have something today, Baylor women's tennis. In fact, Sunday, I think number 6 Arizona Wildcats come rolling in. So that would be a great win as Baylor takes on Arizona, Joyce Gravano in that group. And that'll be nice. And speaking of country club sports, kind of neat at the game recently, I believe it was an Arizona game, Baylor honored longtime golf coach, men's golf coach, Mike McGraw. He is retiring, needs to be with his wife as she goes through some stuff with medical things. And anyway, he's a longtime friend, and we'll have him on soon. But he was honored by Baylor, and so I thought that was kind of neat to see. And he's been a great friend of my radio show over the year and all of that. All right, let me turn up this light, put a little light on the subject here now. It is time we got some breaking news to share with you a little earlier today. And by the way, later in the program, and appreciate everybody who's there on Twitter with us. Want to encourage you to go over and sign up and subscribe to YouTube. More and more people doing that. And that's a way you could actually interact with me and all of that. You could play our trivia. You could win sandwiches at Schmaltz's, the whole thing. But great to have Central National Bank, by the way, our presenting sponsor here on the Mosley Show. And we've got a show coming up soon that I'll be telling you about. We're going to come to town. I'll come to town, and I'll be at the Brazos Landing. And so that'll be fun. Now, let's get right to some breaking news today. George Pickens, it's now official. We knew it was headed this way. But the Cowboys have, and it'll show up because they submitted it to the league. The franchise tag has been officially placed on George Pickens. Let it begin. Let the offseason begin, because the Cowboys, they handle these things so smoothly. And there won't be any, it'll be just fine. There won't be any drama. Apparently there's even kicker drama in the last couple of days with people reporting this and that. And then Todd France, the agent for Brandon Aubrey, the Cowboys kicker, getting upset. Oh, my gosh. What have we come to when we have drama around a kicker? I love this guy. I mean, I want Brandon Aubrey to continue to be the Cowboys kicker. But this is the last thing in the world that should be going on, is that that you need, kicking. That need to get in some kind of contract dispute with the kicker. All right, you want to pay him 6, they want 10. This is not that hard. I mean, this is where, when you're trying to buy a house, what do? You're like, well, let's just meet in the middle. All right, it's not. He's the greatest kicker in the game. Like, there are many areas maybe you can save and maybe you can restructure and do some things, but what you don't want to do is get into some kind of stupid tiff with a kicker. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. So anyway, the Z-Man will be on with me here in a little while, and around about 1:30, we'll do some Campus Confidential, and then we'll finish the show today. Tony Greene, the associate head coach for the Baylor women's basketball, as they get ready. Man, they got to try to end this 4-game losing streak to TCU. TCU's already won a share of the Big 12 title. How about the Bears? How about the Bears going to TCU on Sunday? That's a 3:00 start. The college game day is going to be in Fort Worth for that. What an opportunity. What a great opportunity it would be to knock off those evil frogs. And Tony Greene is the associate head coach. In fact, I mean, Nikki Collin pretty much treats him as her co-head coach. and the fact that she was on some staffs with her husband and others where she was sort of like the co-head coach, I think has informed how she treats her assistants, and she gives them a lot of autonomy. And I'll ask Tony about, the way they defended Olivia Miles from TCU, and what they'll do this time around, because it did not work out. It backfired. They defended her horribly, and they lost a chance to win that game because of the way they defended her. All right. I guess I'm moving too much. I'm just cameras following me all over the place. Now, let's get back to George Pickens and what's going on with this. And we appreciate all the Cowboys fans who are in there starting their day off with us today. I will have later in the program, I'm going to share with you some of what I listened to today on the Sean and RJ show on 105.3. That's RJ Shoppe, longtime friend, Sean Sharif. I've known him forever. And they had, and Bobby Belt, Brian Broaddus, they were able to have the new Cowboys defensive coordinator. That would be Christian Parker. They were able to have Christian Parker on their show. And I got to say, I really enjoyed some of what I witnessed on there and what he had to say. So what I've asked the Z-Man to do, we're not going to play the full 17-minute interview, but about the 10:25 mark, like the last 7 minutes of it, we're going to play for you. And I think you're going to get a little bit of a look inside of what Christian Parker is trying to do with this Cowboys defense. And much like what you heard from a Baylor D-line coach recently, Ja'Cory Greer, this is going to be a front. And I know Quinnen Williams, I know some of the Cowboys players were a little bit leery of going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, but this is going to be a 3-4 where these linemen are asked to get up the field, get vertical, one gap. We're talking knockback players where they're trying to get back in the backfield. This is not a two gap. Oh my gosh, let me be over here. Let me maintain this area. This is a get after the quarterback, attacking style of defense that Christian Parker is bringing. Now, because I've seen the Cowboys do this over the years, I think 12 times. I remember they did it with Anthony Spencer, an old defensive end for the Cowboys as they got out of Purdue. Pretty good player at one point. They did 2 straight years of the franchise tag. They like to use it as a placeholder. Now, sometimes they use it and they don't get the deal done. Sometimes they do. They used it on Dez. They got the deal done. They used it on Kenny Hamlin. They got the thing done. I remember at least 4 or 5 times of them using this franchise tag and then getting the contract done. And that'll be what they hope to do with the player. I mean, George had an unbelievable season with the Cowboys. He does not want to come out here and play on franchise tags. Now, they also got one done with Dak, where they put the franchise tag on him, and then they got the huge deal done, and Dak ended up becoming a $60 million a year player. Z-Man, I looked today, and Z, text me, by the way, when you're fully ready to become part of the Mosley show. Look at him. Oh,
there, I'll just hop in. I'm trying to pull off my best impression of you. I need a haircut, man.
You need more lighting. I need that face to have a little more light shining up on you. All right. You may need some shades if you want to pull some Mosley. No, you don't need to pull that. Oh, there. Okay. Yeah. By the way, when I went off to Baylor, that's the way I wore my hat. I mean, I looked like I was just off the turnip truck. I was a total hayseed. And it's a wonder I had any dates, because while I could talk. I mean, I know that shocks you, Z. I mean, I would say that part of I had that aspect down, but the look I had was the hat pointed up in the air kind of look.
Yeah.
And then about the time I was at Baylor, even the guys and the girls started to wear their caps like way down over their eyes. And then you would, back in that day, you would form the cap.
Like that.
Now you have a little form. Yeah. You'd get it way down low. But even the girls, you didn't even know what the girls look like because they'd have the bill of the cap pulled down so far. Remember the old Pi Phis? I mean, the Pi Phis and the Kappas and the Tridelts. I mean, these were very attractive. I'm married to Tridelt. But yeah, it was weird because they would get that thing broken in and get that thing down over their eyes. And now, Z, and you've aged out of that group. You're kind of like you're not like me. You're not a Gen Xer.
No.
And you're kind of a millennial, but I don't think you behave like we think of millennials. So I don't know where to put like you and Kevin, because you don't quite fit. You probably behave a little bit more like those of us that are Gen X.
Yeah, we're like the older millennials, kind of. Yeah,
I guess so. And I'm sure you do have some millennial habits about you, but I try not to focus on those. And then Kevin the other day tried to tell me he was like a zennial, and I was like, whatever, man.
I don't even know what that means.
I know that's too much. Like it was like a Z. I'm halfway between a Z and a millennial. I'm like, I don't care. At this point, you've lost me. All right. What I do love about Kevin is when he has to miss for this tennis thing. I finally yesterday on air told him, I was like, what is this bringing to my show? Like you being involved with the tennis program, like I would like to get something out of this. And he's like, well, I could get, Coach Scrivano on, the women's tennis coach. And so today I get the text from him, and he had talked to Coach Scrivano.
See?
And he's like ready to come on, and all that kind of stuff. So who knows? Maybe we will. I'm still waiting to see like what, I know what I get with you, Z, because you and I have done Doomsday together, and you've worked with the one of the great sports. I mean, he's a great reporter in Ed Werder, also one of the great divas in America. He's a man who you never know, if it's not done his way, you might get a bit of a tongue lashing. And thank goodness, Z, I don't really think you've ever seen that side of him.
I think Ed and I get along fairly well, so I like to think that I'm doing a decent enough job.
Yeah, just don't ever be the one having to pay Ed. I've had to be that person. Others have had to be that person. Yeah, it's like I've had to have that talk with Ed before. I'm like, Ed, now what occupation in life do you have, like where you do something and then 30 minutes later they pay you? Like that's what Ed expects. Yeah. Like, tell me about that. But Ed's great, and you like Ed. The only time I thought Ed might decapitate a member of the rogue community was one time I was in Waco, and some Cowboys breaking news had happened. And so I had to set up all my stuff, and Ed got set up, and poor Mike Hamilton was having to manage this whole situation. I'm sure, like you are today, Z, he had about a million other things he needed to do. And he was kind enough to jump in and help us get the big emergency podcast, because like in my mind, mainly Ed's mind, like if they don't hear from us, the trade doesn't happen, right? Like it basically, if Mosley and Werder don't sound off, they might as well have not made the trade for whoever this was. And so we're jumping in to do this, and I can kind of tell something's wrong at like the 15-minute or 20-minute, because I look up and I don't see that red thing that I see now when you and I are taping this show, or we're recording this show, or we're doing the show live. We're live streaming. Yeah. I'm missing that red box. And it becomes very obvious to me that Mike has not been able to record any of what we've been doing for about 20 minutes. And in that moment, I thought about like, how could I cover for Mike? And is there anything I could do in like that Ed would never know? Yeah. And there was no way to cover. And then Mike, as only Mike could, said, well, guys, I got this last, because I caught it and we kept going. And I saw the red box come up, and I think we got like 8 minutes recorded. And so Mike tried to make the case of like us just using that 8 minutes and hey guys, it's fine. It was not fine.
Hey, Mike is the perpetual optimist. So I do appreciate that sometimes to my pessimism. But
and Mike had some sadness recently. And by the way, we're all thinking of Mike because he lost his mom lately, and I know she'd been sick for a while. But we're really and Mike's the kind of guy. He's like a bull, he just works through everything, and I think he just wanted to keep working. But I did want to say, at least on our program, Z, that we're thinking about Mike and his family, because that's a tough thing to deal with. No matter how long somebody's been sick or whatever, the loss of a parent is extremely tough. And she sounded like a really, kind and generous and smart, like a really, really cool person. So anyway, thinking about it, Mike, as I tell a story on him, but no. All right, Z-Man, at about 1:30, 1:35, we will get into, I know you've got some college headlines, and we'll react to some of that. One of the things I was going to explain to you and our audience is, and I don't know if you heard this at the start of the show, Z, since you were wrapping up Cam, and Cam can be a handful. I always am wondering, have you ever watched that Locked On show that Cam does? And I'm just like, it's like, I think these are good guests. Again, I'm not making light of, I think they're all like probably interesting people, but like, I don't know who these people are. And then suddenly the headline will come out like, is Tennessee trying to steal DJ Lagway? And I'm like, why do we constantly, I think that's Cam's goal in life, is just to torture Baylor people. It's like, what headline can I put today to freak? But like, what was Cam into today? Was this more of the national?
Yeah.
Was this some Boston type
stuff? It was Jason Tatum's return. It was he had a guest on and talked about what the Patriots could do to help out Drake May next year. And then he did close with that the Tampa Bay Leafs were tanking so hard that it was helping out the Bruins. So
do you try to stay engaged in this? Does he ever try to bring you on for this Boston stuff, or for the most part, you just kind of let him go? You just wind him up and let him go?
Well, as you've worked with Cam too, I think you can attest to that sometimes it's best just to wind him up and let him go. And when it goes to the Boston stuff, for sure, there are times when it gets a little more national that he'll come in, or he'll bring me in and we'll talk about stuff. But I usually let him just have, he's the Bostonian, so I usually let him just have free range.
He's a very interesting little cat, because he has someone like me who's a good friend of his that could like come on Locked On if he ever needed me to provide, like a voice of authority if something happens big, to really drive home some points, drive some serious traffic for him. And I'm telling you, Z, he would never dream of it. I think he got tired of, being on with me but again, he does, I think he defers to, he's with Pete on a daily basis, and he kind of defers to Pete. So maybe he does have the ability to defer to people. I just never really witnessed that when he was with me. No, I'll tell you what, he's great. Drake Toll, now that's a man you cannot, like, I've tried to mentor a lot of people in my life. That's a man that's you cannot be mentored, because he came into this world believing that he had it all figured out. But I, over the years, against my better judgment, I've tried to help him time and time again. And let me tell you, Z-Man, it always backfires. It always backfires. All right. It is the Mosley Show, and Z-Man with me as always. Oh, Z, I thought you would like this. So just explaining to our Cowboys audience what the non-exclusive franchise tag is. And Z, you might find this interesting as well. It's, bottom line is, he could still talk to other teams. He could even sign like a financial deal with another team. But then the Cowboys would have the first right of refusal to that. Now, if the Cowboys did not decide to match whatever the big offer was or whatever, they said, "Oh, we just can't." I started to say the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers are going to come back.
No.
I started to say the Vikings. I'm like, they don't need him. Started to say the Steelers. I'm like, they certainly don't want him. Let's say the old Commanders go, man, we'd like to stick it to the Cowboys. And while we like our receivers, we don't have a George Pickens. All right, we got some good ones. We don't have a Pickens. Same thing with like a Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting there with a great quarterback, and they just really don't have the kind of frontline great receiver they might need.
It was decimated in the playoffs too, with how many injuries they had in that receiving core.
What if you gave Drake May just an oh gosh, Cam will come back on here. What? Somebody like Pickens. But now here's the deal. Cowboys have the first right of refusal. This is the non-exclusive franchise tag. Now, let's say the Cowboys don't match. Well, that team has to give up 2 first-round picks to get Pickens. So I guess what I'm saying is the non-exclusive is not that much different than the exclusive. The exclusive would be they have full say and no team, and they can't shop him to anybody, and all that stuff won't happen. Now you go, Mosley, has this ever happened with restricted free agents? I've seen people put things that they call like poison pills in to get a deal done. Have the Cowboys ever done something silly, like given up 2 first-round picks for a player such as this that has maybe an exclusive or non-exclusive franchise tag on him? The answer, Z, is yes. Would you like to guess? This could be our Schmaltz's trivia question. Would you like to guess who have the Cowboys given up 2 first-round picks to get? I'll help you just a little bit.
I'm going to need you.
A wide receiver. It was a wide receiver, and the Cowboys gave up 2 first-round picks on a non-exclusive franchise tag.
Did he play for the Lions at one point in time? Or am I thinking too far back?
No, you're thinking.
I was thinking Roy Williams.
No, that's a good thought. I think they gave up a first and a third and like a fifth. That was a horrible deal because he couldn't play, and he did not do anything for them. That was a horrible deal. But that was an actual straight up trade.
Oh, that was okay.
This I believe was kind of the non-exclusive franchise tag. That's a good guess because that was a very bad trade the Cowboys did for the Roy Williams from the University of Texas. They also had the Roy Williams, of course, from Oklahoma as a safety. Do you want one more guess or not?
Yeah, let me just take. Was it after? I'm assuming it's more recent.
This
then,
was
right?
This was before Roy Williams.
Ooh. Okay, then yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna.
So it's like free agency had only been around when this happened for about 6 years or something.
Yes, it's funny you bring that up because Scott Mitchell told a story. I do his show sometimes too about how he had an exclusive, like the Lions tried to franchise tag him and his agent had to go back and told him, no, you can't do that yet. So this is around that time of where they're still figuring it all out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a guess then.
Is Scott a pretty big dude now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's 6'5", but yeah, he's
always a big quarterback. But I was trying to remember one of those old NFL quarterbacks had gotten to be a pretty big burly guy, and I thought might have been
he's
Scott.
Really big, yeah.
Okay, he's rather big.
Well, I didn't mean it like.
I hope somebody goes, "What's Mosley like?" And I hope the words. He's rather big never comes out.
I didn't mean it. I just meant like he's physique wise, he is a big man. I just had poor wording.
All right.
There we go.
Rather big. I like that. It was you want the answer?
I'm trying to think. I'm blanking unless it was like Harper or somebody. I don't know.
Joey Galloway.
I should have guessed that with Rocket, and that was part of that receiving core, wasn't it? Terry Glenn, I think, was a part of that receiving core, maybe.
Galloway, Parcells did bring Terry Glenn in, and then I did cover those teams, but I start thinking about random dudes like Zuriel Smith is someone they drafted like out of Hampton or somewhere, but they did have Terry Glenn and Joey playing together at one point. And we used to give my buddy Clarence Hill Jr. a hard time. You know, he covers the Cowboys because for whatever reason, he hung out with Joey Galloway all the time. They went to high school games together, and it was just like, this is weird. Now, I had that relationship with one Cowboys wide receiver because a receiver who then came in that had been with Parcells that I did become good friends with. I don't keep up with him like I should, but he and I mean, to the point where we would get dinner and then I would see him when he was with ESPN. And I don't know what, it was very funny, but we hit it off big time. Keyshawn Johnson. And it was funny because Keyshawn was a different guy and he had different interest than most guys in a NFL locker room. You know, you think, well, what are these guys into? Well, you know, it's whatever you might think. I mean, the finer things in life, right? And restaurants, and some of them are interested in different things. Keyshawn loved hanging out with the reporters. I don't totally know why. It's not like we were wealthy. I'm not even saying we were that interesting. But for whatever reason, he related to us better than he did his teammates. And to the point where, like, during practices, I'd be standing over there talking to a reporter, and then he would start shouting stuff at us from a training camp, from the practice field. And then he would come to our little cubby. We had this little media room at the old facility, Valley Ranch. And he would walk back there from the locker rooms and everything were way on the other side of the building. And he would walk all the way through all these corridors, and he would come just sit down in the media room and just hang with us. And it wasn't like we were getting like, oh my gosh, please give us off the record stuff. Yeah. He just wanted to hang out. So
that's really cool.
Maybe that's why he went into the media.
Quick little tidbit for you about that Joey Galloway non-exclusive franchise deal. Do you know who the Seahawks used those 2 picks on? I'm not going to blame you on one of them, but the other one's a pretty big get.
I'm just trying to think when that would have been.
It was late. 2000 and 2001 were the 2 first-round picks they got.
Well, somewhere in there, the Seahawks got an unbelievable running back, Sean Alexander. Is that one of them?
That's one of the other ones. Okay. Corinne Robinson. So it's not as big, but Sean Alexander was one of the picks they gave up for Joey Galloway.
Where did they get? They used one on Robinson. What was he?
The 2001 was on the wide receiver Corinne Robinson.
What? Yeah. How did he do as a player? Do we know?
Yeah, he did. He did okay, but he kind of bounced around a bit.
Yeah,
So
interesting. All right. I like that, Z, when we get so into something. And now I don't know if we actually hit on anything anybody wanted, but I enjoyed that. The other thing coming out today of the combine, Z, is the Diego Pavia is still cocky, still the cockiest guy in America. He's not backing off. He famously
5'9" of them.
I think he did get measured at 5'10". Let's give him his full length. He infamously said that after he didn't win the Heisman, F the voters and all this stuff. And today he was basically saying, no, he's going to be who he is. He's not going to tone it down. And if you saw how much he prepared, you would know where the confidence is. And when he was asked about his lack of size, he just said, turn on the tape. Look at me against all these guys from the SEC. And he had a great career. He did great things at Vandy. All right. We can't take that away from him, although he is a very over the top. And I don't think he's a lot more Johnny Manziel than he is Russ. I mean, I know not right now people don't think of Russell as like, they've now kind of have a bad opinion of him because of the way it's gone in recent years. But the guy had an incredible NFL career, especially based on how tall he was. It was believed when he was coming out, it's like, no, you can't take a guy of that stature and at 5'10 or 5'11. And the Seahawks did take him in the third round, I believe it was. And he's borderline Hall of Fame guy. I mean, he should have, if they just turn around and hand the football off, he'd have 2 Super Bowl trophies. So, I think you can win with a shorter guy. Breeze was the same way. Breeze was right there at the 5'11", 6-foot mark. It's doable, but Russell and Breeze, and by the way, Breeze didn't do it immediately. Breeze had to go to Miami, and then he was hurt, and then they decided not to keep him or whatever, and he ends up with the Saints, and the rest is history. He becomes one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. A no-brainer Hall of Fame guy is what Drew Brees is. Although, Bill Belichick's apparently not a no-brainer Hall of Fame guy. The Pro Football Hall of Fame has now gotten as ridiculous as the Baseball Hall of Fame. The Baseball Hall of Fame always had the writers. And by the way, be careful. All these people are like, get the writers, get the media off these votes. Okay, be careful what you wish for. You want the players or coaches to do it, I promise you, they'll put even less effort into it. All right, into studying this thing and the thought. Watch what the players have done over the years when it comes time to vote for the Pro Bowl or All-Star voting or all that kind of stuff. They don't have a clue. A lot of them don't have a clue at like who's good, and they don't care about it. So be careful doing all that. Boy, my gosh, this thing has gone a lot of different directions, Z-Man. All right, Z, let's take care of our partners, and then let's do some Campus Confidential. We'll do it next.
For over 2 decades, I've come to Allen Samuels shop, especially for trucks, because I've been very satisfied with the performance of those trucks. I think the strengths of Allen Samuels is obviously in their customer service and obviously taking care of your vehicle after the sale.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. No reputable company or government agency will ever ask you to pay them with gift cards, Bitcoin, or a person-to-person payment app. Scammers use these options because the money can't be traced. Just don't do it.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
Ready for a better kind of primary care?
At Patient First Direct Primary Care, you get unlimited office visits with same-day or next-day availability.
And instead of rushed appointments, we take the time to actually listen.
There are no insurance hassles, just clear, simple care.
You can reach us by phone or text because access shouldn't be complicated. Our practice has expanded to include Medicare-age patients as part of our direct primary care model.
It's a fresh alternative to the traditional insurance or government-driven systems, care that finally puts you first.
For more information, go to patientfirstdirect.com.
It is Matt Mosley. You see the Z-Man, Zach Burke. You know he means business when he turns that Texas Rangers cap around backwards. And he knows that spring training is off and running. Rangers have already played. Yeah, some of these teams are. I looked at one team the other day. They're like 5-2, man. They're playing some. They're playing some grapefruit games. They're playing some. They're playing some out there in Arizona. They got the Cactus League going.
I'm ready for it.
It used to be Z when I was a kid. Going to the Grapefruit League was everything, and most of the teams were out in Florida. Now it's the opposite, and most of the teams are out in Arizona. And Z-Man, a baseball guy like yourself, that surprise where you see the Rangers and the Royals and stay right there at the old Holiday Inn Express or someplace right, and just walk over to the ballpark and at the Holiday Inn / Fairfield, I don't know what it is. It was like some kind of or Marriott Courtyard, but nice pool, nice little evening where you got the fires going out there, and then you just kind of watch baseball in the back lots, watch the games, and then come sleep and then go back and do it all over again. I did it every year for about 10 to 12 years. And Z, have you done it before? Have you done okay?
No, I've always wanted to though. Like it's something that I've always wanted to do is like go and just spend a week there.
Oh, the Z-Man.
Like a whole week of it.
By the way, we're having some and it could be on my end. You're having a little Wi-Fi. You're freezing up on me a little bit. So whoever's moving around there trying to bother you or trying to take our Wi-Fi, you tell them I want all their devices off. I want you to unplug everything else in there. But yeah, the thing I'm most excited about right now, Z, because the Rangers I think are going to be, they got some decent pitchers, but from a lineup standpoint, nothing about that lineup really excites me that much. This kid that might get to start in the opening day, and again, the Pirates are so cheap, they'll try to keep this kid down if they could to see if they could, put off whatever they have to pay him. And of course, they'll trade him here in about 3 or 4 years when he gets great. But that 19-year-old, is it Connor with a K? This kid,
I think so.
He had 2 home runs in a game the other day. He could be the first 19-year-old in an opening day lineup since in the Major League Baseball. Z, would you like to guess?
19-year-old, you said?
Yeah.
Who was the last? My goodness. It's been a while, right? I'm trying to think. All the stellar players that I'm thinking of, I know Bryce was older than that. I know that, I feel like I'm leaving somebody out. Who is it?
The kid, Griffey Jr. Yeah,
that is true. Dang, because he only spent one full year in the minors. You're right.
Yeah, and then before that, by the way, Mike or Beard or whoever's talking around you, could you let them know the Mosley show is in progress? And just tell them I do not need that. I am a distractible player, and they need to keep that down. All right, Robin Yount was the other one before. Yount at age 19 before and you got to go all the way back. Golly, we're talking the 19. God, Yount was a rookie way long ago. Yeah, like either the mid 70s but I remember seeing Yount playing in the 80s, so I don't know if it was mid 80s or but Robin Yount I think was the one before Ken Griffey Jr. I love the fact, the Z-Man, that you've got the campus confidential graphic ready to go. Kevin didn't leave you just completely empty-handed.
74 for Yount, by the way, was his rookie year. Yeah.
Oh, Robin. He was great. And then right through the 80s, he was still getting it done. And even when I was started, I was big-time collecting cards.
Same.
Beginning in about 79, and then those 86 tops boxes, I had a ton of those. Of course, I was like an idiot. there's some guy that was just a total shark at my high school. I started selling him boxes of those it's like I'd forget my lunch or something.
Yeah.
So smart, because he would prey on how hungry I was, or not like my parents were making me go hungry. Show up at school and forget something, and I'd be like, "Hey, I need this," or because I knew this guy would always bring a whole bunch of food and stuff, and he would go, "Yeah, I'll do that, but you need to pay me like $20 instead of just asking for $5." And so I would occasionally sell him like boxes of tops. It was bad. I think his name was Clayton Rozier. We've got Campus Confidential, and this is, as you know, Z, when you bring up some of the bigger stories in college athletics, and then I react to it. What do you have?
Okay. So the one that I really wanted to start with was just these names for this upcoming college sports roundtable that the president is putting together is very interesting to me. Now, for those people who don't know, the president is kind of getting a group together that does include other university presidents and chancellors and, people from in actual college athletic programs. But on March 6th at the White House, they're having a roundtable to kind of discuss what they can do to help better college athletes or in athletics for the future. This group is going to be co-chaired by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and New York Yankees president Randy Levine, which was a little odd, but that's fine too. The Yankees president is going to be a part of this. But some of the names on this list, some make sense to me, Matt, and some of them don't at all. The ones that make sense, at least of the names that have been leaked, you have people like Nick Saban, Mac Brown, Urban Meyer, all great college football coaches, seem like perfect fits for this. You have Condoleezza Rice on there, who was a part of the college football playoff committee before. Like, these are names that make sense. The ones that are confusing to me are ones like golfer Tiger Woods. Not that Tiger is obviously not one of the best golfers of all time, but notoriously did not golf in college. Like he I think his son.
I responded to you on that. You must have.
You did? Did I miss that? I guess I missed that.
That's
text.
Okay. Tiger played at Stanford.
Did he?
Tiger,
okay.
Yes.
I know his son is going there too. For some reason, I felt like
his son's going to Florida State.
That's what it is. Sorry, my apologies.
That's
You're
okay.
right. Florida
That's
State.
okay.
We do have
Tiger did play at Stanford, and yes, if you read the Mosley text messages, I will always take care of you.
I do appreciate.
I was sending you quite a few, but yes, I did.
That's
see
on me
text.
from bouncing around. But
okay.
So then I am mistaken on that one. But that does get to the next one that I do still find a little head scratching. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. What is the commissioner of one of the professional sports teams doing a part? He's the only one. We don't have Rob Manfred. We don't have, they might be too busy, but he is the only commissioner on this list.
I guess the one argument you could make for Silver is you could kind of take a peek at what they still think of the one and done. And the fact now these weird injunctions and things that allow like G League players that went pro but have never played an NBA game can come back to college. There's a lot of things that are sort of connected to the NBA that maybe he can weigh in on. I'm with you. This does not, by the way, sound like the most bipartisan group I've ever heard of. Ron DeSantis, the governor of the Republican presidential candidate from a few years ago, the longtime governor of Florida. Everybody you've mentioned, I don't think President Trump's like, let's get some people on both sides of the aisle. And that's fine. Maybe whoever is trying to fix this would be okay. I'm shocked that the senator from the great state of Alabama, Tuberville's not somehow involved in this. I guarantee you he shows up and gets his 2 cents in on this. And Tuberville, his time as a senator in Alabama may have finally ended. His terrible reign as a head coach in college football ended gratefully. Bad at Tech, ended badly at Auburn, and just a kind of a despicable ending at Tech where he literally just snuck out under the cover of darkness to go to, I believe, Cincinnati. Now,
or did he go to Auburn from Tech?
No,
he went. Right. Yeah, he went to Cincinnati for sure.
I don't. You know,
well,
I don't know if I have high hopes. The other thing I'll tell you about Tiger.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting. And he did play at Stanford, and he may have even played a couple of seasons, at least one year at Stanford. Might have played a couple. No big deal. You don't even have to check that. But he is rumored to be dating Vanessa Trump. All right. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think although Charlie just got who's committed to Florida State is doing really well in junior golf, and they had a neat thing the other day, and I thought it was nice because I don't know that we've ever seen Elin, his ex-wife and the mother of his children. I don't know if we've ever seen them together since the infamous thing that happened, I don't know now, 15, 16 years ago.
Wow, it has
cheating
been that long,
scandal,
yeah.
all of that happened. That was a huge sports story. And the fallout from that. But the other day, they came together to celebrate Charlie, and they were photographed up there standing with him. And I thought, you know what? That was an awful public spectacle. It was awful for her. It was awful. Thank goodness the kids were probably tiny and don't really remember, although the internet offers all sorts of reminders if they wanted to go down that road. But anyway, there you go. Tiger. But yeah, I think Vanessa Trump. I think there's something there.
That makes some sense.
I don't know, Z, I don't know what's going to come out of this, because I just noticed too that and all the commissioners are invited, but the Big Ten and the SEC commissioners just kind of went after Cody Campbell. You know, Cody Campbell from Tech, the billionaire,
who's been invited too, I believe, to the
and he's a big, he's a supporter of Trump and all of that. And again, I don't really get in. I never get into politics on this show. And if the Democrats, if I thought they could somehow fix this, I'd be all for it. If the Republicans are the one to do it, I'm all for that. In the past, Saban was rumored to have been like the co-chairman with Cody Campbell on some big commission Trump was going to do. And Saban kind of just said, nah, I don't think so. I don't really think I want to be a part of that thing. So right now, what's weird is that I think Cody Campbell's actually, there's part of him just wants to divert his billions to Tech and help. And I think that's what Big Ten and SEC hate. They don't like anybody else to have power. And so they don't love that little old Texas Tech is over here being represented by a billionaire, and they don't like him having too big of a platform. Where I think I kind of sympathize with the billionaire is that some of what he's doing is actually trying to help maybe come up with some guardrails, because even billionaires don't love having just a completely fund entire athletic departments. I mean, Tech is very fortunate to have Cody Campbell, but I think he's trying. But again, Big Ten and SEC are very leery of anybody but them running things. So they've tried to hold him in check. Meanwhile, while this big thing comes together, to me, and maybe I'm just being too cynical, this big meeting of the minds sounds like a bunch of grandstanding, where they're all going to sit up there, and the president, who can out-talk anybody, at least lengthwise, he's going to have his say. I mean, think about it. We think how these hearings are. We got to hear from everybody on the oversight committee. Hillary was in front of an oversight committee yesterday talking about, she pays for Bill's sins at all times. And again, don't get me going into politics, but they were able to drag Hillary into a room. And I think she's kind of like, I wasn't at Epstein's Island. I had nothing to do with the guy. That's my husband. But anyway, she was in one of those deals. This won't shock me if they bring in former presidents. Like, I think George W. would like to serve on something like this, but I think Condoleezza will kind of be his proxy on this, because Trump and George W. don't probably care for each other. I wouldn't think so. Trump sees most of those former presidents as like not people he wants to. I'm trying to think of any former president he might like that are still with us, and nothing comes to mind. All right. What else do you have, or what else were you going to say about this?
I was just going to also add real quick that the two athletes they listed, Tim Tebow and Charlie Ward, Florida and Florida State guys there, are also invited. I was just going to add.
I guess because Ron DeSantis is like the co-chair of this.
Out of all the Florida and Florida State athletes.
Well, they're two of the most famous. And they both have a Heisman, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One of them is like the great spiritual warrior. If they got to have somebody to lead the prayer. Yeah. So Charlie, I don't know where his prayer life is, but he was one of the all-time greats there at Florida State. Somebody has pointed out, Z, that it might be kind of nice to invite some current college athletes if you're going to try to figure out what to do about them. That's part of the problem in the first place. You didn't let them have a seat at the table. And so finally, NCAA starts getting crushed in these lawsuits. And it turns out you probably should have had some of the athletes have a voice at some point. So I don't know who it is. Maybe DJ Lagway from Baylor. Maybe the great who are the best negotiators out there in college football? Maybe this kid at Tech now, Brendan Sorsby, who's getting sued, by the way.
Cincinnati, yeah.
Why can't Baylor go back and sue Rob Wright? Is it too late?
I don't know what the statute of limitations are on the NIL deals and stuff like that.
I really think that's the only time I regret dropping out of law school is some of this stuff, some of the sports kind of stuff, I really think I could have. There's some things in that area that I think I could have had some impact. I just really hated law school. I hated the fact that I had to I was always better if I could take exams along the way, which held me accountable, and I could study and pour into those the night before and do just fine. Law school, they trusted you to have to keep up for a full semester and then take one huge exam. Not great for my approach to life. All right. Yes. Okay. What else do we have?
So let me move on to college basketball real quick. I have a couple stories there real quick. Some big games this weekend. Michigan takes number 10. Also over the weekend, Virginia and Duke is a big matchup. Kansas and Arizona, another big matchup. And Texas Tech and Iowa State, just some of the bigger games. But I wanted to talk about two stories. One, from Tarleton State, actually, where they have came out and they're expected to announce, they might have already done this. This article is from this morning, to announce that men's basketball coach Billy Gillespie will not return next year. He's been dealing with some health problems here lately. I think he's been sidelined since January 15th. And the school at the end of the season is going to run a full national search for a new head coach there.
I'm just glad that he got a little bit of a final chapter, and he went out there and seemed like people liked him, and maybe he handled himself differently. I would say that his behavior at Texas Tech was just weird, and again, his lifestyle. He made the ultimate mistake of leaving A&M, a place that loved him, and he was doing great, and they just let him be. He was a single guy that just kind of had a different lifestyle, but they did, football is always going to be number one at A&M. He did great in basketball, but he was not the glare and the vice grip that they have on you at a place like Kentucky was just too much. And then they tried to give him another shot at Tech. I understand why Tech did it. And man, he had just not recovered from his time at Kentucky. Bizarre behavior by him. He wasn't ready for it. And then he had major medical stuff. So I've always loved him because he's a great coach. And like a lot of us, he also made a lot of mistakes in his life. And I think he probably did not take care of his body. And he got a second lease on life because somebody gave him a kidney. And that's an amazing thing. And it was somebody literally that kind of read his story and just had a heart for, again, it wasn't like he got a family member to do it. Literally, it's a fascinating story of how that happened. And I had him on after all that happened. I had him on my old radio show. But they needed to do this. You can't have, as much as I wish he could recover from whatever it is and come back strong, I think Billy Clyde had gotten to a place where his health didn't allow him to give everything to the job. So now Tarleton State, and in NCAA basketball, you just never know. Like when I hear where people are trying to hire coaches from right now, I hear UTRGV, UT Rio Grande Valley. Did we ever think of them in the past? No. How did they get good at basketball? I don't know. Corpus Christi, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, a few years ago, got good at basketball. How did it happen? I don't know. Somebody went and hired their coach. ACU, Abilene Christian, beats University of Texas in the NCAA tournament. What happened to their coach? UTEP hired him. Is he good at UTEP? But who's to say that at Tarleton they couldn't become really good at basketball? Texas has great high school basketball players, and if they decide to invest in it and they get a coach from a place like SFA is another good program. In Nacogdoches, Texas. You say, how do you get kids to come to Nacogdoches? Oh, I'll tell you. Just pay them a little money, right? In the NIL world. And first of all, when you get them there, that's a beautiful area. I mean, Nacogdoches. I mean,
do they still have banners of Larry Centers up over on campus everywhere?
I don't know. You talk about the old running back from the Cardinals.
Yeah, I just remember the last time I was on campus there, they had like light posts and they had like banners of all their alumni, and I felt like I saw like 2 or 3 of Larry Centers, and I was like, well, I loved them, but
yeah, I like the old story. He's 57 years old now.
Ooh, okay.
Larry Centers. And by the way, he's not the only great player to come from SFA.
No, not at all.
Who would you say, does anybody come to mind if I bring up a defensive player that played for a long time in the NFL? Does anybody come to mind for you without looking it up? Do not let me see your eyes on your phone.
Okay. No, my phone's over here to the left.
Okay.
What era are we talking about though?
He played in the NFL in the early 2000s. Probably all the way up till about 2010.
Defensive?
No, he's a linebacker.
Linebacker, okay.
SFA.
I feel like when you tell me, I'm going to be so upset. It's not like I don't know why this name's pop. It's not like a Jeremiah Trotter or somebody like that, is it?
Bingo.
Yes. Okay.
Good for you.
Whew. That was
good
close
for
one.
You. I mean, I had to give you a hint, but that was pretty good.
Thank you.
That's a pretty good job. Boy, the late, great Jim Johnson used to line him up over center and just get him right up there at the line of scrimmage and, in a blitz. Jim Johnson loved to blitz more than anything in the world. And then all those guys were under Jim Johnson. Like John Harbaugh was there as the special teams coach. Sean McDermott took over for him when he died. Who went on to become the Buffalo Bills coach. Wait, what did McDermott decide to do? Is McDermott sitting out a year now that he got fired at Buffalo? He didn't get a job, did he?
I haven't seen him get a job yet. No.
Sean McDermott. All right. And they hired Joe Brady. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, man. That's a great way to go, Buffalo. Way to run out Sean McDermott. Although McDermott was a weirdo. I liked him being around him. He was a really nice guy, honestly, to cover. But years later, he had some kind of favorable. That was one of the weirdest stories of the past 10, 15 years was him. He didn't do it publicly, but it got out publicly. But he was giving his team a speech. And I shouldn't laugh, but he somehow, do you remember this story? He somehow told his team, you have to plan things and have a great game plan like the 9/11 hijackers.
Yes, I do remember
this. He
somehow
somehow painted them out to be almost like a positive. Hey, this took great planning. It's like, okay, buddy, you're a Buffalo Bills. You're in New York. You're up there in Western New York. All right. We think this is a good idea to try to give your team a story about the 9/11 hijackers in some sort of positive manner. I would say that's one of the most bizarre. Coaches come up with some weird ones. Even my the guy I loved covering, Bill Parcells, he had some strange ones, but nothing like that. Now, the one that got Bill in trouble one day, Bill one time looked at us and he was talking about Sean Payton. He's like, and Bill said, he's got these plays. We call them, and it was a reference to a surprise attack. Okay. Think of World War II and let your imagination. And it's just but think about how far we've even come since then. Parcells says this in circa 2004 or 2005 or 2004. And it while it was kind of cringy and he had to apologize, by the next day, nobody even thought a thing about it. If he said the same thing now, they might have tried to fire him over it. Kind of interesting. Okay, what else do you have?
So
Campus Confidential.
Yeah, I'll make this one really quick, and then I have one that I want to close with that I find very fascinating. Staying in basketball real quick, Purdue's Braden Smith actually became the 5th player in Division I history just a night ago to reach 1,000 assists. I went and I looked up the other players, just curious to see who it was. Bobby Hurley leads that list all time still. The other names, Chris Corsiani, Ed Cota, and Jason Brickman. Do any of those ring a bell to you?
Yeah, I watched Chris Corsiani because he played for NC State back in the day. Now say the thing. Okay, I'm so sorry. I was thinking about something else when you first brought this up. What is this deal?
So Purdue point guard Braden Smith became the 5th player in D1 history to reach 1,000 assists in his career.
Got it. So you had to play for a long time and you had to have a lot of assists. I guess this guy left UNLV early, or maybe he came from JUCO. There was a guy for the longest time that played with Augman and Armin Gilliam and Larry, Grandmama.
At UNLV? Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson, LJ. But their point guard, I'm surprised he's not mentioned because his last name was Wade, and he had some sort of NCAA, maybe it was an NCAA tournament record, okay? But somebody had to be throwing all those alley-oops and all those passes and everything back then. Okay, say that list to me again, and I'll tell you which ones I actually recognize.
Where did it go? Dang it. I lost.
No.
So it was, here, I can tell you off the top of my head. So it was Bobby Hurley.
Got it.
Was Chris that you remember?
Corsiani, yeah.
Ed
They
Cota,
played at the same time, by the way.
Yep.
Hurley and Corciani were playing at Duke and NC State at the same time, and those were very fun matchups. And then right after that, of course, right around then, Chris Collins played for Duke, and that's the guy who ended up being like Coach K's top assistant. I believe is still the Northwestern head coach, and they probably need to move on from him. Who else?
Ed Cota, who was at North Carolina in from 96 to 2000. So that's what, Antoine Jameson and Vince Carter, right? Or am I a little late there? I'm trying to think who's all, but he's North Carolina 96 to 2000. And then it's Jason Brickman at LIU Brooklyn from 2010 is number 4. And then there's Braden Smith.
Don't know Brickman, know the other guy. Remember Cota. I was trying to remember if Ed Cota was a lefty. I'm just trying to get in my mind. Some reason I kind of think of him as a lefty, but I'm probably wrong about that. But they've just had so many great guards over the years, and even the guys that kind of
Cota is left-handed, yes.
Okay, it's weird. Z, you get to my age, which is not that advanced, but it's weird what stays and what goes. And just a story on Larry Johnson, who literally his last name was escaping me for a second. Maybe I need to go get checked. Right after I was clerking at a law firm, and I was at Baylor Law School, and one summer I came up and lived in the neighborhood, near the neighborhood where I live now, in Lake Highlands in the Dallas area. And some of my college buddies, these were some old KOTs from Baylor, and we all lived together that summer. And they were all living and working and started their careers, or single. Some of them were dating, but they were single guys. And they had a big house in Lake Highlands that they were renting, I believe. I don't think, they would have been renting it. And it was Larry Johnson's house. It was one of his houses that he'd, had over the years. And you can imagine how much money, even back then, he was making. So I don't know if it was it was a rental house that he still owned, but he had lived in it at some point. And so that was kind of fun to say that we were living in Larry Johnson's.
That is really cool.
And occasionally the guys would find something that would be, sort of like, hey, Larry left something behind. I can't remember where, like in the attic or something like that. My buddy Matt Elmore, who lived in that house, was convinced that somebody was living up in the attic. He would hear things, and he was totally convinced
that it was
somebody was up there, but he was too scared to look. And so one of us, at some point, I do think we finally pulled that ceiling attic down to look up there and assure him that nobody. And then one night I opened up something that was very precious. I don't even want to get into what it was, but somebody had brought him something from Spain, and I decided to open it. And it made some people very angry. Okay. Z-Man, what else do you have?
Last one I have for us then, it's a potential rule change that is very interesting for NCAA Division I football. And the new proposal for this rule is that it will require players to wear leg coverings from the top of their shoes to the bottom of their pants. Now, players who violate the rule would have to leave the game for one play and wouldn't be able to return until they fix or are in compliance uniform-wise. And a warning will be issued for that first violation. If there's a second offense, it's a 5-yard penalty and a 15-yard penalty for each violation after that.
Okay. This is obviously done because you do have cornerbacks and maybe even some running backs. Now, although how in the world would you not, as a running back, protect your knees better than they do? But I'm seeing this more from like cornerbacks. And their football pants are barely down. They're not over their knees. They look like shorts. And I think somebody decided, some old white man decided, this looks ridiculous. And so they're going to address it. Now, again, like anything, you'll have to find some. They did this, by the way. They got tired of Zeke and the old linebacker at Baylor, or the defensive end, Oakman,
Mhm.
showing off their abs. And so they
Mhm.
came up with some rule where, you had your jersey had to cover your stomach, right?
Mhm.
Zeke had that. Sean Oakman had that. For Baylor, had this, and again, if I had a six-pack,
I'd show it off too, yeah.
I'd like to show it off, okay? Right now, I don't. Soon I probably will. Z, I'm kidding. I'll never. I've passed the age that you can even have one of those. But this is weird because, like, somebody put out a picture of, like, Vince Young playing against USC, and you just think how cool we all thought Vince Young was, and just the way he threw it and the way he ran. I mean, he was an unbelievable college quarterback, and he had his, like you would think, his football pants that went over his knees, but then it showed all his calf because he had basically low top or low cut socks to go with his cleats. So you saw the whole calf. What they seem to be suggesting is you can't really show any leg, right? It's almost like
No.
You've got to have socks or something. Oh, golly, Z. I mean, that's good, buddy. I just throw out something, and next thing you know, there it is. That's I didn't even know we had capability like that. Good for you. But yeah, this is going to be so. And look at the USC defensive back. It's coming over to not tackle him. He's got almost like tube socks, and his pads go over his knees.
Well, what I
see a lot of his leg.
What I remember is that obviously the pants that we were given, and I know that even when I played, it's been like 20 something years now at this point, but that we had the pants that came all the way, over the knee. And then you were given socks that were high enough to go all the way up to where your knee pads were, and you could cover them up, and it was completely covered. And then the older I got, you wanted to wear all the wide receivers wanted to wear the no-show socks. It's always wide receivers and cornerbacks who start at first. They wanted to wear the no-shows, and then they wanted to roll. But yeah, I know, again, that was a very old reference, but still.
Buddy, it's okay. I have, every once in a while, I have one of these, like, nightmare memories in, like, junior high football. I knew I probably was not going to have a great football career, and I had not had my growth spurt. Going into my 9th grade year, I grew like literally 7 or 8 inches. So I was tiny, and I was not lean. Okay, so it was a bad combination. We're talking 7th and 8th grade, somewhere around 5'5", and a little bit on the portly side. And you never want to look up and realize that as you're number 62, that there are also 2 other 62s on the team. That's not a good sign. That's a bad sign. And then I shoot up in one summer, and I become a different individual, but I'd already decided to quit because the guy who went on to play at La Tech started at offensive tackle for 2 or 3 years at La Tech literally I would be covered in bruises head to toe, and it was not fun. And because I was a blocking dummy, and then I'd already decided not to play, but I became a basketball player and a tennis player. All right. Enough about me. Z, thank you, buddy. That was a good one.
Thank you, sir.
That was a good one. We've had no concept of time today, which is usually my favorite. Let's take a quick break, and then we do have to finish the show today. Baylor associate head coach women's basketball Tony Greene, as the Bears get ready for a Sunday matchup against TCU. Z, this is a big one. This is for the conference championship. This is ESPN College Game Day. There's a lot going on here. We'll have him, but first, Z, I want to talk a little bit about what I thought was one of the greatest workouts in the history of the NFL Combine yesterday. We'll do that next.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Don't buy from social media ads unless the ad is from a verified company. When you click those ads, you open yourself up to fraud. If it seems too good to be true, it almost always is. This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
Ready for a better kind of primary care?
At Patient First Direct Primary Care, you get unlimited office visits with same-day or next-day availability.
And instead of rushed appointments, we take the time to actually listen.
There are no insurance hassles, just clear, simple care.
You can reach us by phone or text because access shouldn't be complicated. Our practice has expanded to include Medicare-age patients as part of our direct primary care model.
It's a fresh alternative to the traditional insurance or government-driven systems, care that finally puts you first.
For more information, go to patientfirstdirect.com.
I like that, Z. You kind of gave the folks a little preview of me sitting here reading.
My bad. Technology sometimes. I do apologize.
Z, you've done excellent work today. I tell you what I'll do is we do this on the fly, Z. We've got that big time interview coming up. So in order to allow time for that, we'll go to break at about 2:30 here in about 10 minutes from now or so. And then we will finish the show today with Tony Greene. And is that good, Z? Do you want to take one more break before Tony Greene, or do you want me to take us right into Tony Greene? What works best for you?
Whatever you want to do, I can do the flow. If you want to talk everything, then throw it to Tony Greene, and then I can play a break out of that 10 just for the day. So we'll be fine.
Oh my gosh. Well, whatever. You've been great today, and you've jumped in and helped me immensely. So I really wanted to do. You text me, Z, if you think of something that helps you out. But I might send it to Tony Greene here in about 10 minutes or so, and we'll end our show with you getting to hear from Baylor's associate head coach. Tony is a good coach, and he's in charge of the defense. And this has been a good 3-point defense. This has been, at times, they've played great defense. This team turns the ball over way too much. They don't shoot the ball that great. I don't really blame it. I think Tony I don't blame it on either coach, but I think Tony does a good job. They did not react quickly enough, and Olivia Miles made them all look horrible at that last game at Baylor when they had a great crowd. Everybody was excited, and they let Olivia Miles shoot them out of the game. What Tony's going to talk to us about is how to change up coverages. Now, the good thing that he will talk about with TCU is they really only, when it comes to offense, they only have actions that involve two players. That doesn't mean other players can't score and get open and do things, but they have Olivia running the point and distributing, or they have Suarez, who's capable of scoring 30 herself, running actions for her. All right, everybody else kind of plays through them. All right, Z-Man, that's your Mosley women's basketball. Everybody getting ready for the big game on Sunday. That's a 3:00 start last time I looked. All right. This did come out in the last hour, Z-Man. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones met with George Pickens in Dallas on Thursday before flying to Indy for the scouting combine on Friday. Jerry wanted to let Pickens know firsthand about the tag and how much the Cowboys valued him and wanted to keep him, per Vice President Stephen Jones. We couldn't take the chance on losing him, Stephen Jones said to DLLS Cowboys. George was fired up, excited. He said, I don't want to play anywhere but with the Cowboys. That's what we suspected. It was all good. Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine, the thought of Jerry and a player being alone again after what happened with Micah Parsons? After Jerry thinking he struck a deal with Micah Parsons and Micah Parsons didn't think he had a deal. If I'm the agent, I'm saying do not, no matter what you do, don't be in the room alone with Jerry Jones. Fight against that at all cost. Do not do something crazy like that. Wow. Jerry loves it. He loves the one-on-one, and he loves to cut out the middleman and go straight to the player. Now, has he learned his lesson, and did he try to negotiate any? It doesn't sound like it from what Stephen just described, but my goodness, that brings back some bad memories. Now, Z, save it, because I might on Monday use some of what Christian Parker had to say. I apologize. I had Z edit out some of this interview that Christian Parker did, and there's part of me that I wanted to let our audience hear some of it today, because I think it'll get you excited about the attacking style of defense. But Z and I had such a long and entertaining and fun Campus Confidential that we just didn't have time to share that Christian Parker with you. But Z-Man, I will tell you that yesterday I saw the future of the NFL on my screen. And, Arvell Reese from Ohio State is great and all. But what I saw with Sonny Styles, who but based on the way he's looking, he's probably not going to be there when the Cowboys pick at 12. If they fall in love with him, they could trade up to get him. I don't think they should. I don't think they will. In fact, it's much more likely they trade down out of 12 to get the player they want, or at 20. The Cowboys, in some ways, kind of own this first round. Now, I'm hearing people say the players at the very top of this draft are not as great as some of the players from the past. Here's all I'll tell you. And I meant to, Z-Man, because I had it and I forgot to send you the footage of it. You might find it, but no pressure on this. The watching Sonny Styles run that 40 and then watching him in the vertical leap. Vertical, he goes for, I'm trying to make sure I've got this right. I think he went for 43 and a half. 43 and a half inches for a 6'5", 245-pound man. Oh, my gosh. That explosion was crazy to watch. He wanted to go 45. For a man of his size, that may be the best vertical in the last 20 years. It was unbelievable. Then he runs the 40, and he runs a 4.46. Okay? He wanted to run even better than that, but he ran a 4.46. Again, I'm talking about a 6'5", 245-pound man who's probably going to try to play the edge. Going to have to play against the run. He's going to play against, he's going to play the edge at times, but he can also be an off-the-ball linebacker. Why do they all want to list themselves as outside linebackers? Because those are the guys who make the most money, because they're smart, because they know they can make huge money out there playing the outside. Then he does a broad jump that's well over 11 feet. Sonny Styles. got a great name. Kind of reminds me of the Sonny that was in Miami Vice. One of the characters was named Sonny. Don Johnson was one of the characters, and then there was Sonny, and that was, who was the other guy in Miami Vice? Philip Baker Hall or
Tubbs and Crockett
guy? Well, Tubbs and Crockett, but
you're talking about the actors?
Yeah, who played
Don Johnson
but either Don Johnson or who was the other actor?
I'm trying to remember right now.
Crockett, Sonny and Crockett. Wait, who'd you say? Tubbs and Crockett?
Yeah.
Why am I thinking of Sonny?
No, it was James. It's James, Sonny Crockett, and Philip. Yeah, and Philip Michael Thompson, who was. I'm sorry, Philip Michael Thomas is the actor.
Philip Michael
Ricardo
Thomas.
Rico Tubbs.
Yes, Rico Tubbs. And then I knew. Okay, I thank you, Z, because when I was thinking of Sonny, I was like, wait, why am I attaching that to Miami Vice? But there was a Sonny. That was a show, Z, unlike anything I've seen in a while. And I liked watching all linemen. I like the drills. I watched Baylor's Jackie Marshall, and in the ones where he had to come in and hit the tackle dummies and all, good. He was fluid. He got through it. Then those guys, those pass rushers, would go around the hoop. And he'd go, well, this guy looks a little stiff. Well, this guy's got great bend. This guy is this. Those Texas Tech guys are scary good, man. All of them. I like Lee Hunter. I like Romello Height. And I like, who's the other one? Z-Man, David. What's David's? The guy that could go number 3 in the draft from Texas Tech. Oh my gosh, come on. Why am I not thinking of this? Anyway, the Texas Tech edge rusher who was so unbelievable in that Oregon, in that playoff game. But he ran a 4.51.
Bailey.
David Bailey. I mean, what you do, and I know Baylor doesn't have Tech's money right now, but you got to look at like what they do and what Indiana does in the portal. And you look for players with those similar traits. And remember that not all those players I just mentioned came from like big time Power 4 programs. You had to be on the hunt for some of these guys. Tech put on a show. Every one of those guys impressed me in that. And then one of those linemen from, which one was it? One of them had like the best leaping, the best 40. It was unreal to watch some of that. I would recommend that you tonight, since some of you are like me, and it's not like you have, let's not sit around and act like once you get in your 40s and 50s, and a lot of you got little kids too. Let's not act like you have very exciting Friday nights. Now, I'll give you a pass if you've got like a high school playoff basketball game to go see. I think to me, that makes for a very exciting Friday night. In fact, now that I say that out loud, maybe I'll go do that. My high school boys team, sadly, got knocked out the other night by Arlington Martin. Ugh, kills me. But so I might go find another team to watch tonight. But if I don't do that, what I'll do, Z, is I'll just put it on NFL Network, and they'll have the replay from all today's action, and I'll just watch that for about 2 or 3 hours. And I'll just watch the quarterbacks throw, but also watch the linemen, offensive linemen do their workouts, the cornerbacks. Like tomorrow, I love all this stuff. I like watching the drills. I like watching them run the 40. It's so great. And I mean, last night, I just sat there mesmerized. And it's like, so-and-so from Arkansas. Here's the guy from Tech. Here's the guy. Jackie looked good. I got to say, Jackie Marshall looked like he was moving. And then this weekend, we'll get to see the receivers working out. We'll see Josh Cameron, the tight ends, Michael Trigg, the tight end that's getting a ton of attention that's for sure going to go in the first round is Sadiq out of Oregon. And Z-Man, they tell me from a interview, understanding the assignment, I think this is good for Oregon, and this is a credit to this kid, Kenyon Sadiq. I know it's Sadiq is the last name. Some people are saying it's the best interview they've had in all their years of doing it. In the 25 to 30 years, he was the best interview they'd ever had. That's that tight end out of Oregon. All right, man, thank you for everybody. Tell you what we're going to do. We're gonna finish the show today, getting you ready for this Baylor TCU game. College Game Day is going to be there. The associate head coach for the Baylor Bears, Tony Greene, joins me now. It's the Matt Mosley show, and good to be with Tony Greene now, Baylor's associate head coach, women's basketball. And Tony, man, I've missed talking to you. I think since the last time I had you on, you may have some new glasses. I kind of like those. That's a good look. Yeah, very intellectual look. But how are things going? How are you feeling as we kind of come down the stretch in Big 12 play here?
Feeling really well. You know, it's that time of the season where, you know, every game is on the line for something. Everybody know what they're playing for. Everybody's jockeying for position in the national rankings and seeding for the conference tournament. So it's an exciting time of the year. Yeah, and here comes TCU. Tony, you have seen this thing from both ways. You know, you come in on this job, and it was a time when Baylor was dominating TCU. They've kind of had your number these last several games here. I guess they've got 4 in a row after going, you know, many, many years in the wilderness. Right. What is it's like, how much do you even talk about that with your players? I guess they know, don't they? It's not like, I mean, Bugs and Bella, the ones that have been around for a good while, Jana, it's not like you have to remind them, hey, we've struggled against TCU, but like, how do you kind of keep from letting the rivalry and all that and just kind of keep the focus on it being, hey, we got to go win this game kind of thing? Well, you know, TCU is a really good program. We really don't talk about the games, you know, in the past a lot. We just focus on one game at a time and focus on ourselves, on how we can be better. I think that, you know, that's been our approach. And we know we have to be better this go around than we were the first time we played them this year. Tony, the inevitable question becomes, you know, with Olivia, how, you know, Miles, what she did in that first game. I think I remember Nikki afterwards saying, well, I don't know if we maybe adjusted as quickly as we wanted to. Y'all have had success with almost trying to force players to be scorers. I would say that one obviously went the other direction. What do you, I know you don't want to give away your game plan, but what do you, what's kind of the key this time around? And I guess, would it be safe to say you might take a little bit of a different approach? I think that we're going to execute what we want to do a little bit better. I think we can mix up our coverages some. I think that I have to have them in a really good coverage to where we're comfortable executing it, and also we have to be consistent at communicating as well. So I feel very confident in this team, and I think defensively we'll be a lot better this second go around than we were the first go around. Okay, and what does the whole team of TCU present as y'all have look at the film and get ready? And there's going to be a lot of
pomp and circumstance with this game. Suarez is coming off a huge game. I noticed the other night, I think she may have gone for 30. I think Miles is such a well-known player, and maybe it's the goggles or something, but also she's one of the best players in college basketball. But Tony, you can't, I know in preparing for TCU, they can come at you from a lot of different ways, can't they?
Yeah, but basically TCU, they're going to keep the ball in their two best players' hands. They're going to have it in Miles and Suarez's hands, and they're going to be in every action. And they aim to guard their best players consistently every possession. So you have to be prepared and ready to go and be up for the challenge. I think that's one thing that they do really, really well. They really don't involve a lot of other people. The other players they benefit off of different schemes that teams run trying to stop those two, but they don't really run any actions for the other players, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the other players can score, but yeah, they're not running everything through them and all
they
that.
They run everything through Miles and Suarez, and those are two really good players in the country, and that's why they're so hard to beat.
Tony, do you, this time of year, because y'all have really gotten some excellent players in the portal, Talia right now being one of those, how does that work? Because you got to focus on the games and the prep and the film and practice. Are there people on your staff, Tony, that occasionally will give you a report on, boy, this player in the SEC is going off right now? I mean, like you say, no tampering, but at the same time, you have to be well aware of what's going on around the country. How do y'all kind of handle that so that when it does come to the portal opening up, you hit the ground running?
Well, of course, we don't tamper here at Baylor, but you want to be aware. You want to touch bases with some of your contacts out there and let them know that you're looking for certain positions for the next season, and so you try to keep your ear to the ground on it's a possibility of certain players that are going to the portal, and try to get an idea. We watch a lot of our GAs watch a lot of mid-major games to see if there are players on that level that could help us. And so we're prepared if they do choose to go in the portal. We're really familiar with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. That's interesting too. I think for a GA that already have a lot on their plate, that's honestly kind of a fun thing, I would think, to be monitoring all those games. And then they every once in a while, one of them will come to Tony, or come to you probably and go, okay, I found, you got to see this. And you'll probably go, well, she can't do this. But I mean, they have to have an eye for
You just try to be prepared before they go into the portal. So once they get in, you're very familiar with their talent level and things like that. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can look at, once the postseason awards come out, who was player of the year in what conference, and who made first team, and try to just have a list prepared so you can have an understanding of what's going on. But I think the biggest thing is, making contacts with AU programs and also recruiting services, and just letting them know, hey, we're looking for this. If a kid go in the portal that give us a call. You know what I mean? You know what we're looking for. That's basically all you can do.
Yeah. And by the way, Tony, the days of getting some great 4 or 5 star type player from an AAU team, and y'all got a great one coming in that I know you can't really talk about yet, but you've got an unbelievable commitment. But the days of like what used to happen even 4 or 5 years ago was you could take some time and grow that player up.
Right.
Those days are over, right? If they don't play right away, they're like, okay, I'm hitting the portal kind of thing. So
Right.
I would say even that changes your mindset in recruiting. You probably used to be like, this is where I think she could become. And now it's going to be like, this is what we need right now. Like, this is where this player is right now. So it's fascinating to watch. What is the excitement level, Tony? I'm sure it's different from coaches and the players, but the ESPN's game day crew come into this Baylor TCU game. It's part of a triple header. I believe it's a 3:00 tip off in Fort Worth, but that's kind of a neat deal. The Big 12 has not. I mean, again, this is relatively new on the women's side, so it's not like, oh my gosh, the Big 12 hadn't had this for 20 years. But that said, this is kind of a cool honor. Have you seen evidence of the prep from ESPN, like everybody having to do a little more media leading up to this? And what's the excitement level from the program to be part of something like that?
I can't really say about the prep, like from the media. I think, Nikki's always bogged down with a lot of media, throughout the week, and especially this time of the season. But I can say this, I think our girls are excited. Our fans are excited. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and we're super excited, and we feel very privileged and grateful to be able to be on that type of stage and receive that type of platform to go out and perform on.
Tony, do you sense that over your years with the program that these players, especially last year or two, sometimes almost seem to, and again, this one recent game withstanding, but it does seem like they perform really well on the road. I think back on one of those games that y'all were down this year. It might have been Oklahoma State, and it was an amazing comeback. And honestly, that kind of seemed to flip the script this season after an opening Big 12 loss. Have you sensed that from your players and your team that something about the bonding that takes place, the hostile road crowd, that you have players that respond pretty well to that?
I can just tell you my theory on that. I think sometimes you have teams that play better on the road because it's less distractions. They don't have to worry about, their peers in the stands and everything that's going on at home. On the road, I think it's easier to keep a team focused because it's just your team out there by itself for a couple of days in the hotel, gearing up for a big game. I think it's easy to focus instead of being home and being in your natural routine, if that makes sense. So teams respond better on the road because of that. That's just my personal theory, but I do think this team plays better on the road. I think they play really well when their backs are up against the wall. I think they play well when they're doubted. I think they play better when they're underdogs.
Yeah.
And so I know they're excited to get another opportunity to go out and put Baylor on their chest and represent our institution well. I know we were highly disappointed in ourselves, but that's just a game, the life that we live, playing the game of basketball or playing in a competitive forum. You're going to have huge disappointments and celebration. So we're ready to fight for Baylor and hopefully come out on top.
Tony, I was excited to see Bella Fauntleroy bust out and have a big offensive game. And I know y'all, especially you, being such a defensive-minded coach, always appreciate the way she anchors your defense. But it appeared, at least to my eye, that over the last several weeks, at times she had kind of lost her confidence in her offensive game. How big for you guys is that when she can knock down shots and bring that offense? Because obviously she and Bugs have been doing it a long time and they've had great careers. But I would have to say, for whatever reason, Bella, it's been a very it's a roller coaster on the offensive end, and sometimes that affects the defense, as you well know. I don't know if that's the case with her really, because I think she's still very valuable to that on that end. What have you seen from her, and are you thinking or hoping that maybe what we saw that last time out, Arizona game, was maybe a little bit of a breakthrough for her?
I think that we were super excited for Bella. I think that Bella has the ability to score the basketball. It really helps us when she does. It takes some pressure off of Talia, and it just makes us a little bit more dangerous offensively, and harder to defend. Of course, sometimes players let their offense affect their defense, but I think Bella's been doing a really good job this year. She's very nice defensively for us. She's the anchor, she's the leader, she's the voice, she's the coach out there on the floor, and so I love it when she have both sides of the balls working for her out there. It's really neat to watch, but the last game, I think she actually showed what she can do, and she's capable. But sometimes offensively, it's just not your night. But I know she wants it really bad, and I know she wants to finish out her senior year the correct way, and we're behind her 100%.
Yeah, well, it'll be it's going to be fun to watch. I'm curious to get your thought on this. Who of your younger players and players that have, the one thing is y'all have really good depth. Now, again, I've talked about this with Nikki. The only problem with having a lot of depth, you don't always know who's going to be hot, right? Ting, earlier this season, one game goes off for 22 or 25 points or something like that. And I'm sure in your mind, wow, how often could she do something like that? You just never know. But when you look at your players and even some of the younger players, who has shown the most growth this season, and who are you excited about hopefully retaining and somebody that could make a big jump? Because obviously with Bugs and Bella and Jana, you're losing some, even KJ, you're losing some big time seniors and leaders. But who have you seen make outstanding jumps?
It's not just one player, I would say, out of our younger players. I think you have, like you said, U-Team that has had some good games for us. I think Markayla Johnson, she's capable of performing well on both sides of the ball. She's made a lot of improvement, learning how to prepare, learning how to execute schemes and different schemes game to game. I think Kayla, she's had a good game for us. Kayla Nims, she's improved a lot. Her ball screen defense has made a huge jump, and offensively she has really good hands and she can finish well around the bucket. So I wouldn't say those three right there have improved a lot throughout the course of this season, and we're looking forward to working hard to retain them, and we believe that they could make an even better jump, after the off season, the summer, and come back and be ready to help next year's team perform really well.
All right. Well, I've followed some of your recruiting, and that one player you got from maybe Arkansas, she's on a team with somebody from Louisiana, and I've kind of watched them play off each other, and so I know that surprises you, Tony, that I would actually be looking at film of AAU. But that's what we do in sports. We're always kind of thinking, what's next? What's going to be? But your mindset is this season, let's get the most out of this team. And what an opportunity! What a huge opportunity on Saturday against the Frogs, and that's going to be fun. Coach, I was getting ready for this, and I looked back and I saw an old video of you mic'd up at a practice, and you were showing your players kind of giving them a couple of dance moves and kind of showing them, how, it was a very subtle thing that you used. Who's the best dancer on this team?
Yeah, I'm the best dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I could do me a little country two-step. I could break dance. I could do it all, man. I'm just letting you know, like, I'm versatile when it comes to dancing.
If you could go to any concert, this will reveal like what you're really into. What would it be? Or have you been to one that was like your favorite ever? Who would you most want to see in person? And we'll see truly if this is a boot scooting man.
I would give you a couple.
Okay.
If let me see. Chris Stapleton will be one person. Adele will be another.
Ooh.
And I would do some Janet Jackson. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I swear.
And who else? Probably either I do Morgan Wallen. I would love to see him in concert.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, my wife saw Janet in Vegas.
Wow.
And in recent years, and it was about what you would expect. But yeah, from a dancing standpoint, nobody's kind of going to ever outdo Michael. But dang it, Janet, Rhythm Nation and some of those dang moves. And then when I was a kid, and Tony, you're not much older than I am, but like whatever that video was, you remember when she had that slow jam. And I just remember it was sort of game changing,
Yeah, Janet.
Yeah, I would say Janet, very, very, very talented, very attractive, and yes.
I just love good music, Matt. It doesn't really matter.
By the way, Tony, at Baylor, I was literally had graduated. It was in law school at Baylor when they allowed dancing on campus.
Oh, okay.
And it was such a big moment that Hootie and the Blowfish, Darius Rucker, lead singer of that at the time, said, "Hey, we'll come do a free concert for you guys."
Oh,
and
awesome.
But Baylor couldn't quite go that far, Tony. That was a little too secular. And now at McLean, they have, I can't remember who's coming, but like there's some pretty big
Jelly Roll.
There you go. Yeah, that's one thing, Jelly. You won't ever see me with like a face tattoo. Jelly Roll. He's got some interesting stuff going. Tony, thanks for taking the time. And I always admire watching you because, you can just tell y'all are like co-head coaches. Nikki, there are times, man, you're running everything and then she'll kind of come in or whatever, but y'all do a great job. And I know y'all have a really trusting relationship, but I understand how valuable you are to this whole operation. So thank you for taking the time and can't wait to watch the game.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, Matt. And I'm very blessed to have a head coach like Nikki. She, I think, looking back at her career, she appreciated certain head coaches that she worked for that gave her some key responsibility night in, night out. And I feel very honored that she think enough of me to give me the same opportunity. So
yeah. She just needs to
and trust me, I know a lot of assistant coaches don't have the type of responsibility I have in the country. I feel very fortunate.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I would argue is that she should let you in on one of those Central National Bank commercials.
Yes,
if she really cares,
you
need to be featured in one of those. Yeah. And I know people over there, by the way, the bank executive. See at the bottom of my thing there, Central National Bank.
Yeah,
they're my primary sponsor too. So Tony, we'll get involved in one of those because something tells me you've got pretty good range as an actor.
I think I would be a great co-star to Nikki Collins. I think I would be
there he goes. Tony Greene, the Baylor's associate head coach, the Baylor women, on the Matt Mosley Show.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. No reputable company or government agency will ever ask you to pay them with gift cards, Bitcoin, or a person-to-person payment app. Scammers use these options because the money can't be traced. Just don't do it.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
For anyone that's in the car buying mode or looking for a car right now or a truck, I would definitely come by Allen Samuels, get to know the people here like I have, how well I'm taking care of the dealership and how well, service and any kind of warranty issues and those sort of things. Because of the way they take care of me, it's made me a Ram driver. And so I don't think they'd want to go anywhere else if they came here.
Like Alan Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Alan Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Enjoy Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.